enemy. It's shining.
I have a bad feeling about this. They really don't give up, do they?
Fire support! Blow them away! Not a chance! Too fast! Stand back! I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! Demon Fang!
My healing art to accomplish this.
Take this! Here I come!
Celestial Astral energy!
Say no more!
Lady Fortune must truly be watching over me.
It'll be a breeze. Get in, get out.
Here's a healing art. First aid!
Smash you!
These ones can run rings around us.
You're mine!
In your dreams.
Trevarna! I'm not done! Can't get out of this!
Glacial Spear. Here's the Edith one's mine.
Demon Fang!
Celestial
Hey! Blow them away!
Will this help?
Now! You're mine! Try this on for size!
healing circle. Thanks so much.
There!
Go!
Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno! I'm on! Here I come!
Starting wind.
Megasonic Thrust!
Magic Ram! Air thrust!
I'm not done! Fairy Gale!
Power of my healing art to
You're
accomplish this.
mine! Now in the groove! Explosive ring! Burn in hell! Take it!
Do it!
Explosive ring! Chill!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
We can really make weapons with this?
I think I'll pass on the handshake. What's this? Whirling struggle. Winds of power. I never miss.
Now I'm real mad!
Denied! Get in a bind! It's a dance! Megasonic thrust! Enemy flare!
Not on my watch. Here's a healing art.
Ignite!
Like astral
I want to
fire.
take it! Megasonic thrust!
Dance.
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! Ready and ready!
Firmament
Try
Thunder.
this! Eagle assault!
Here's a healing art.
Explosive ring!
Armor won't save you!
First aid.
Sword rain output!
Hear my call.
Blending flash!
Primed and ready.
A charge like that could easily be fatal.
Just as well, I'm here to stop it. That'll bring you down.
I'm not done!
Now I'm in trouble.
I'll heal you all.
Explosive ring! No further!
More with that
Get
healing circle.
Strike! It's time! Rising Phoenix!
That
freaking does it!
Pierce evil! Now! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished! Onward and upward.
It's on!
Pierce!
A chain between heaven and field! A wailing mercy of lightning!
Ignite!
I'll heal you all!
What's this? I'll smash you!
I'm not done!
Healing circle!
Strike!
More for the stockpile!
Rising Phoenix! It's over!
Away!
Will this help? More for the stockpile!
That freaking does it!
Not in your dreams! I'm ready!
In a vine?
Lightning
Sword Rain Alpha! Try this!
Now!
Look sharp!
Lightning Tiger Blade! Dragon
My
Shout!
turn! I'm not done! This one!
Vanish without a trace!
Seems about right to me.
What the? When did it get pitch dark all of a sudden?
The lights are all out. Think it has something to do with the explosion back in the Forbidden Zone? Doe?
You two. Faria, Avakir. Thank goodness you're safe.
Avakir filled me in about everything. About how I ambushed you all.
She doesn't remember a thing, so she really was being controlled.
He told me about Tarnigan, too. Is it true?
What difference does it make? What's done is done.
Stop casting me off, just for once!
Faria, not now. It can wait. Dohalim, Lenegus is in grave peril.
So I can see.
It's the city's core reactor. It's damaged. Some of the basic systems we've managed to keep online, but complete restoration's still a way off.
You're an elite technician, though. You can fix it, right?
If so, then what's the problem?
Panic's begun to set in among the citizens. Until now, whenever something like this happened, the Sovereign would issue a decree. But this time, not so much as a peep. Any longer and we run the risk of riots breaking out before we can get things back up and running.
Forget the Sovereign. I doubt you'll be hearing from him anytime soon.
What's that supposed to mean? Do you know something I don't?
Suffice it to say, the Sovereign isn't the kind of ruler we thought he was. That is, if he ever even existed, which is looking doubtful at this stage.
Are you out of your mind? Why, if people knew that a lord such as yourself was whispering such blasphemy, they'd—
There's no time to explain now. It sounds like we need to find a way to keep Lenegus from spiraling out of control.
We need to stop that riot.
But how do we do that?
Riots feed on discontent and unrest, right? So if we want to keep the peace, we just need to put people's minds at ease.
At ease? Like by letting them hear directly from someone they trust. That's it. Who's the highest-ranking person in Lenegus right now?
Lenegus wouldn't have a next in line. After all, you said the Sovereign rules over everyone directly, right?
Correct. The closest thing to an authority figure would be a lord. And the only one left is... Ah. Very well then. Avakir, you mentioned a few facilities were still online. Which ones?
Why hasn't the Sovereign said anything?
Please, won't somebody explain what's going on?
Is it over? What's going to happen to all of us?
Heed me now, fellow remnants of Lenegus. It is I, Lord Dohalim Ilkaris of Eldaman and Sia.
Look, up there! It's Lord Dohalim!
Hold on! He should be in the crown contest! Shouldn't he? Why isn't the Sovereign talking to us?
The Sovereign is seeing to other matters right now. In my capacity as Lord, I speak to you in his stead. You're afraid, as people so often are when faced with the unknown. I hope you'll allow me to put your fears to rest. The city's core reactor has experienced a malfunction. However, we have our top engineers attending to the matter, and things will soon be back to normal. I know that you feel abandoned, perhaps more scared and alone than ever before. But I ask you all to keep one thing in mind. You are Lenegis, not the Lords and Sovereign. The solidarity of its citizens is the mortar that holds it together. If we don't allow ourselves to be distracted by our differences, if we put our hearts and minds together and stand as one, I am confident we will find new hope. I would be honored to stand with you. Not as a person of loftier rank, but as another human being among many. I hope that you'll lend me your strength, for if we can persevere as one, I know a bright tomorrow awaits.
Your speech seems to have done the trick. Looks like the city won't be descending into chaos after all.
I only pray the relief will tide the city over for the time being.
What you said earlier, about the Sovereign possibly not even existing, was it true?
It's still too premature to say with any certainty, but I believe so. This whole time, this world we've been fed was a lie, built on nothing but falsehoods.
But it can't all have been...
I can believe it. After everything I saw in the Forbidden Zone, what they did to Faria, it's the only explanation that makes sense.
But what about hierarchy, Avakir? Authority? The very foundations of Renan society? How can we live without someone to guide us?
I'd say we found someone capable of doing just that, wouldn't you?
You? You can't be serious.
I have business I must take care of first. But once everything is over, I shall return. But not as your sovereign, nor as a leader the likes of which the people here are used to, I think.
But how else do you propose to rule?
I'm not sure yet. All I have is a feeling that here in Lenegis, a new dawn is on the verge of breaking. One in which people won't be judged by birthright, or on the power of their astral arts, but on other things. More important things. Things like... oh, I don't know. Musical talent, for example.
When I bumped into you after all those years, I said you were no different. But I was wrong. Truth is, you were always different. I feel like maybe now I can finally begin to accept Turnagain's death. To see a future.
You go finish whatever it is you've got to do. I'll hold down the fort here in Lenegis till you get back.
Thank you.
I guess you're not going to make it to Menancia for the foreseeable future, huh?
Indeed. Forgive me.
The people of Menancia can look after themselves just fine. It's the ones here on Lenegis who need someone to guide them. Besides, with you leading the people here, it'll help spread the idea of coexistence beyond Menancia's borders that much faster.
Sounds like you're in it for the long haul.
How could I not be, after the second chance that I've been granted? From this day forth, I shall dedicate myself to the future inhabitants of this world. though the memories of the departed shall remain forever in my heart.
Remember, you're going to be leading the people here, not ruling them.
True enough. Whatever would I do without you, Kisara?
With or without her, I suspect you're gonna have your hands full when the time comes. We should be heading back to the ship. Business on Rena awaits. Looks like the people of Lenegis... Can rest easy.
I couldn't have done it without your words of encouragement, Law.
Hey, you're the one who made the speech.
I think everybody can share the credit here.
Thought we'd find answers on Lenegis, but we just ended up finding more questions.
You can say that again. And now we have more problems to fix too. Like figuring out how to reform Lenegis.
That can wait for now. We've got more than enough on our plates to deal with as it is. Like figuring out who's really running the show on Rena.
Yeah. Which is why we're going to the Renan homeworld.
All the answers we've been looking for are on that planet. The person responsible for all this. The Red Woman and the Renaissance. The answers have to be there. Are we prepared to finally find them?
So, what do we do first when we get there?
We know nothing about the Renan homeworld or what we might face once we arrive. We should get a feel for how things are on the ground before we take any serious steps.
It's also entirely possible that the first thing we're going to face is an attack.
If we come across a capital, we should... What? Damn! The hell just happened?
Our course has been altered. The coordinates are pointing to a different destination.
What's that?
The ship's controls aren't accepting my commands. The engine is being shut down.
That's bad, right?
Quite bad. We've lost control of the ship.
Is all of this the Red Women's doing?
Are they trying to finish us off before we can land?
Everyone! Look there!
A flower blooming out of Rena?
But that flower looks like it's absorbing all of Dana's energy.
And it appears Lenegis is serving as a conduit for that energy to reach here. Could that have been its true purpose all along?
If that's true, do you think the people back on Lenegis are all right?
We can only pray that they are.
Damn it! Haven't they taken enough already? When is this going to end?
The Flower of Oblivion.
With everything that's happening, we need to get back to Lenegis. Is the ship still offline?
Unfortunately, yes. Even more so than when it lay dormant.
Can you fix it?
Starships are extremely complex machines. One wrong move while we're out here in space could very well cost us our lives.
So what? We're just stuck inside here, floating around? For how long?
I don't believe this. We've made it all this way, and now we're stuck here? We're watching Dana die before our eyes, and we have no choice but to sit here and starve to death?
Law, calm down! You're not the only one who's worried here.
Right. Sorry.
It's still too early to give up. There has to be a way to get out of this.
Alphen.
Now what?
The starship, it's back online?
No, this is different. Something is pulling our ship in towards it.
We managed to get moving, but where are we?
It looks like Lenegis in here.
Do you think we might run into more Renans here? Or those red women?
Perhaps. Someone brought us here. The question is, who?
We haven't been ambushed, so that probably means they aren't hostile. Still, why would anyone want to bring us here?
Hey, Shion!
If they wanted to attack us, they could have done so while we were back on the starship. We should see where this path takes us.
Someone formidable enough to bring our starship along with us.
They must be here somewhere. Let's find them.
This place looks a lot like that room we saw back in the Forbidden Zone.
Huh? What's that? It's one of those!
A red woman in disguise. Or is this their true form?
So it was a trap?
It doesn't look like it can move. Tell me, are you the one who brought us here?
That is correct. It is unusual for me to have unexpected guests these days.
It can talk!
What are you?
Hevrect 35.
Hevrect 35. Is that your name?
Correct.
What is this place? No, wait, before that, just what exactly are you? Are you somehow associated with the Red Women?
Before I answer, I have a question for you. How did you all arrive in this sector?
We did not come to this place by choice. Our ship was brought here against our will, by a group of red women who can shift into the same form as you.
In that case, we can assume my brethren who serve the Great Spirit have deemed you all to be a threat most grave.
What do you mean, serve? Are you saying there really is someone more powerful than the Red Women, pulling their strings?
What did you do to us?
I examined your bodies. You have not been harmed in any way. Identifiers detected. The Sovereign and Maiden are among you. However, you aren't under its control. I see why they viewed you as a danger now.
Oh goody, more riddles.
Do you think we can trust this thing?
Like it or not, it may be our best chance at a ticket out of here. Let's at least hear it out.
I shall now answer your questions. We are Helganquil. The Red Women you encountered previously are a form of disguise we employ from time to time, but not our true form.
Helganquil?
You are on Daeq Faezol, a celestial base which drifted here by accident. The will of Rena's great spirit no longer reaches us here. Since my sudden separation from the Great Spirit's influence, I have used any and all means to extend my lifespan. As I have done so, I have also set out to monitor and research Rena and Dana from this position.
A question. What is this great spirit of which you speak? Is it something that rules over your kind?
Correct. The great astral spirit is a large mass of astral energy that fills all of Rena, one with its own will, a voice we cannot refuse.
A voice? Just like Dana.
The voice of the great spirit speaks to our hearts directly, and we have served it without question throughout the ages.
Does that mean it was controlling your minds? Wait a second. Could this great spirit be the true sovereign of Rena?
The true ruler of Rena. It could be the same thing that's controlling Volron.
Wait, back up. You're telling us this great spirit of yours is the one that ordered you things to harvest the astral energy from Dana? I'm not sure I believe that.
Why not? We've already made contact with the will of Dana back in the Wedge, and in the Forbidden Zone on Lenegus. If Dana has a will of its own, I don't see why Rena wouldn't.
Maybe not, but think about what you're saying. If Dana has a will like Rena, then that would mean that we've been controlled by the voice of Dana this whole time, just like these things.
Dana's will hasn't been forcing us to do anything.
Yeah, but...
Let's assume that what Hevrect 35 claims is true, and that we are indeed cut off from both planets. Even if we had previously been under the control of Dana's will, we would have noticed now that we are disconnected.
Your fear is not based in logic. The voice of Dana is much smaller and quieter compared to that of Rena's great spirit. Rena's astral energy is amassed at its center, whereas Dana's is shared among all its constituents. So thinly is that energy spread that it cannot coalesce and formulate a will. Our findings here indicate as much.
Which explains why we felt its will where we did. The Wedge and Lenegus are where so much of that energy had been accumulated.
The Great Spirit's desire is to consume all astral energy, and the pursuit of that desire is why you see Rena in its current state. As a result, it has turned its attention toward Dana.
Is that why the crown contest is necessary? So that the Great Spirit can feed off of Dana?
Indeed, and it was to that end that we Helganquil devised the crown contest. Had the initial spirit channeling from 300 years ago succeeded, all of Dana's astral energy would have been seized.
But the ceremony failed. Lenegus was severely damaged, and you lost both the Sovereign and the Renasalma.
Correct. A change in plan was required to ensure the spirit channeling's success. However, recreating the Renis Alma required a vast amount of energy. That is why we turned to Dana.
So that was the real purpose behind the crown contest. An efficient means to harvest the necessary energy from Dana.
This is all happening because of me.
Nevertheless, you still haven't answered one of Alphen's original questions. Just why have you brought us here to your base, Hevrect 35?
First, it was to confirm the identities of you, my unexpected visitors. Second, it was to ascertain whether you would be likely to accept my request.
A request? But what could someone like you want us to...
I wish for you all to slay the Great Spirit.
I'm sorry, did you just ask us to kill your master?
I did. It is in your best interest that you do so, I might add.
What makes you say that?
Lenegus has entered the final stage of the spirit channeling plan. As we speak, Dana's energy is being harvested en masse and transmitted to Rena. If nothing is done about the Great Spirit, it will not be long before all is lost.
You're saying the destruction we saw earlier is just the beginning? That...
We won't let that happen.
Why do you want us to kill the Great Spirit so badly? Is it to save our world? To free you, Helganquil, from under its control? Why?
No. My primary concern is validating our findings and analysis, which have taken many years to realize. As such, it is my desire to see how your actions impact and change these systems. However, I will not deny that vengeance also plays a part.
Vengeance? For what?
In spite of our long service to the Great Spirit, our species is on the brink of extinction.
You mean... you're dying?
At this stage, it would be wise for you to talk with the others. Ask them what you need to know. Once you have your answer, return to me. If you agree to help, I shall fix your ship.
Others? Just how many of you are there?
I am the only Helganquil who inhabits Daeq Faezol.
Hey! Hey!
It's no use. I think it's done talking to us. Let's take a look around.
You can't see...
Who are they?
What is it?
Oh, my apologies. It's just been so long since I've seen any humans from the outside world.
Are you a Renan?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. The Overseer told us to answer any questions you might have. Whatever you want to know, we'll tell you as much as we can. But be quick. Our subjects are undergoing a dramatic shift that we don't want to miss.
What a weird guy.
He must have meant Hevrect 35 when he mentioned that Overseer.
And what was that about subjects? You don't think he meant Dana and Rena, do you?
There isn't anyone else we can talk to. I guess we should ask around here.
Have you guys lived up here in Daeq Faezol with Hevrect 35 for a long time?
Yes. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head just how long it's been, though. We regularly go into stasis, so our sense of time has gotten rather out of whack over the years.
Why are you all even here in the first place?
Originally, this station was where we worked to perform maintenance on Lenegis from the outside.
We heard that the facility ended up in its current location due to an accident.
Oh, it was terrible. Apparently there was some kind of accident, and when help never arrived, they presumed the entire facility had been destroyed.
And you've been working for Hevrect 35 ever since?
Well, at first we thought that there was nobody else inside the facility, but then it turned out the Overseer was there all along.
What do you mean?
The Helganquil have the technology to cloak themselves around us Renans. As long as they don't do anything obvious, a Renan won't see one, even if it's right in front of them.
Which would explain why Shion and I failed to notice the Red Women previously. Do they employ an astral art of some sort?
I haven't been able to scientifically confirm it for myself, but from what I understand, the type of cloaking they use is primarily achieved through mechanical means. In addition, they also used hypnosis devices and information control to get us to do what they wanted without being detected. It's a pretty sophisticated operation, especially since it avoids any unnecessary conflict. I have to imagine that's how Lenegis is still run.
But aren't the Helganquil themselves controlled by the Great Spirit? If so, why aren't Renans affected by it in the same way?
The Great Spirit's mind control only works on Helganquil, so they had to employ other means to manipulate us Renans.
You act like this didn't affect you personally. If I was you, I'd be mad as hell at their deceptions.
I mean, sure, I was surprised when I first found out about it, but it happened so long ago.
Hevrek 35 has clearly ceased concealing itself, though. Why is that?
Who can say? My guess is it just got bored, or maybe even a little lonely.
Don't you want to go back home to Rena or Lenegis? Our ship is going to be fixed pretty soon. You could ride with us.
No way. If we went back after knowing the truth, they'd either just brainwash us or purge us outright.
After all this time, there's nothing to be gained from going back. We've all agreed it'd be best to simply stay here and watch everything unfold instead.
Things are going just fine with the Overseer. Not that it'll be around much longer. It can't extend its life any further.
That said, I'm sure it's pleased to see the final stage of the plan before it passes on, though.
Thank you for answering our questions. Can we talk to you for a few minutes?
Sure. It's going to be a while before the two planets undergo their next shift, so I can talk until then.
Please, tell us what you know about the Helganquil.
You mean the Overseer's species? I can't say I know much about them.
Well, for starters, where'd they come from?
Where else? From Rena, obviously.
From Rena? Wait, are you telling us those things live right alongside the Renans down there?
Of course not. There's really no such thing as Renans in the first place.
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought the Overseer explained everything.
Apparently not.
Please, tell us more.
Well, in a nutshell, the Renans were originally created from Danans by the Helganquil.
But if that's true, then that would mean there aren't any people on Rena.
There aren't, but there are Helganquil. That's what the name literally means in their language, people of Rena.
But what need could they possibly have to create a whole new race of people?
It was a way to bolster their dwindling workforce. I trust you're aware that the Helganquil are on the verge of extinction, yes? In essence, we were created to carry on their work for the Great Spirit after they all die. They gathered Danans who had an affinity for astral arts and proceeded from there. That's why we, as their descendants, can all cast arts, albeit to varying degrees.
Let me get this straight. Are you saying Renans were originally created from Danans that the Helganquil kidnapped?
Wait, that explains why almost nobody can use Astro Arts on Dana now.
Helganquil technology is truly amazing. The way they alter their bodies is far less invasive than your conventional surgeries. They have these tiny machines that are practically invisible, which they insert into their bodies and—
Enough! You needn't tell us anymore.
How can you speak so calmly about all of this?
I guess I can see how, when viewed in a certain light, their ways may sound grotesque. But if you ask me, I think they ultimately did us a favor. They saved us from crawling the earth in ignorance. If it meant their hands had to get a little dirty in the process, then so be it. Anyway, the Helganquil are the real Renans. Personally, I don't think it's such a big deal. They're also mostly the ones behind what you see going on between the two planets. I think that covers just about everything worth knowing.
I see. Thanks for filling us in.
Does he really expect us to believe that Renans never truly existed? How absurd.
Dohalim.
Just when I think we're getting to the bottom of it all, some new revelation smacks us in the face.
Then let's hope this is our last revelation for a while. Do you know anything about a spirit channeling plan?
If you mean the first plan from 300 years ago, then yes. Do you know what its main objective was?
Yes. It was to use Lenegis to siphon off Dana's astral energy and send it to Rena.
Exactly. However, there were two problems we had to consider. First was how to collect and send such a large quantity of astral energy without it becoming sentient. Second, we had to figure out how to convert Dana's energy so it would be compatible with Rena.
I take it the solutions to those problems were to use the wedge for the collection, and then the Sovereign and Maiden to convert the energy.
We have a winner! However, the first plan failed when the Sovereign was overwhelmed and became frenzied. The reason for that is because the Maiden lost control. I'm told he slaughtered many Renans in Helganquil that day. For the next plan, we tried to recreate the Renis Alma, but we didn't have nearly enough of the other non-dark astral energy types. To amend that, we set our sights on Dana, and implemented a system whereby we could extract energy from it.
And the crown contest began.
Correct. Since the Maiden had been the failing point in the previous plan, it was decided to replace her role with machinery to avoid further mishaps. A new Sovereign had to be made as well. It was such tremendously difficult work, its success was dubious. But from the look of things, it would appear such worries were unfounded.
So that's what the purpose of that room we found in the Forbidden Zone was.
What about the flower that sprouted from Rena?
Flower? Oh, that thing. That's the physical manifestation of all the astral energy that's been harvested from Dana. As I'm sure you've noticed, it's quite a lot of energy. At this point, it's likely that it's become physically integrated with Rena's planetary structure.
Hevricht 35 mentioned that the spirit channeling plan is entering its final stage. Is that true?
It is. I never thought I would live to see the day with my own eyes, and yet here we are. Are we done talking now? If it's all the same to you, I'd really rather not miss anything that's about to happen.
He talks like the potential end of the world is just another day on the job.
You've got to remember that these guys have been living alone up here for a long time. Who knows what shape their minds are in?
It feels like our whole world has been turned upside down. Is there anything we know that's still true at this point?
Seriously, I'm still trying to process the fact that we Renans were created by the Helganquil, let alone the Sovereign and Maiden stuff. Everyone's just gone their own way, huh?
Yeah, let's hit up each spot.
Oh, it's you two.
You both seem awfully calm.
I still can't believe...
Well, it sounds...
Well, is everybody ready to do what needs to be done?
I am. There's a lot to think about, but at the end of the day, Dana's still in danger. I don't care who we're up against. We'll kick their ass.
What are your thoughts, Alphen? I want to know what's on your mind, too.
Like Law said, if we have to fight the Great Spirit on Rena, and so be it. It's trying to rob us of our entire world. And it's going to take not just our home, but all of existence along with it. That alone is enough to make it our enemy. But it's not only that. One way or another, I think beating the Great Spirit is going to be tied to us saving Xion.
You're saying there's a chance?
You're referring to the vision of destruction we all saw in Lenegis, I take it?
Yeah. 3 centuries ago, the astral energy that appeared at the spirit channeling ceremony showed Naori that vision. And to hear Xion tell it, it's the same one that she sees from her own thorns as well.
Indeed. Xion's thorns are comprised of dark astral energy, the one type which we know is native only to Rena. And if Rena's great spirit is what's behind Dana's pending destruction, then...
Xion's thorns are the Great Spirit? It's not actually on Rena like we thought?
We don't know anything for certain. At the very least, though, I think it's possible her thorns are a part of the Great Spirit.
While the main body resides in Rena.
Xion.
If these thorns really are a part of Rena's great spirit, I'm going to go over there and give it a piece of my mind and then some.
The question is, how do we confront it? Suffice it to say, that flower growing out of Rena is enormous, large enough to house the will of an entire planet. The Wedge and Lenegis were both hard enough for us to overcome in their own right. This is an altogether greater challenge for merely 6.
And we only know about the Thorns' connection thanks to Naori.
Hevric 35 has been observing the Great Astral Spirit this whole time. It wouldn't ask us to fight it unless it has a plan of some sort. Let's go see what that is. Our minds are made up. Let's go give Hevric 30... Five our answer.
Do you have your answer for me?
We want to ask something first. You're asking us to fight an entire planet. How exactly do you expect us to do that? You must have something up your sleeve, or else you wouldn't put us up to it.
The great astral spirit is an immense being, but its actual will does not run throughout its entire body. Rather, its will is derived from the core, which supports the rest of the body, and is where its strength is most densely concentrated. Therefore, if you destroy the core, the Great Spirit shall become unable to maintain sentience, and return to being ordinary astral energy.
And how are we supposed to destroy that core?
By using the Renis Alma. You will also need the assistance of both the Sovereign and the Maiden. They are our best tools for suppressing and controlling astral energy. Using their powers, the Maiden shall seal the great astral spirit within her body, and the Sovereign shall wield the power of the Renis Alma to destroy it.
Hold on. That sounds a lot like what Xion described before.
Yeah, killing herself to take out the Thorns with her.
She was actually right all along.
By my calculations, your powers combined should be sufficient to destroy the great astral spirit, and disperse its energy widely enough to make it difficult to reform.
What will happen to the Maiden once we manage to beat the Great Astral Spirit?
Any matter contained within the field of destruction shall be erased.
So it really will kill me.
This method is the most simple one available to destroy the Great Spirit, and is therefore our most reliable option.
What are our other options?
There is little reason to consider alternative courses of action when the most optimal among them is so clear.
You don't get it. I promised Shion that she wouldn't die, that we'd save the world without needing to sacrifice her. We didn't fight this whole time just to give up on her at the very end. If there's any other way to take out the Great Spirit, I want to hear it.
This plan shall lead to the fewest losses in preserving your world. Abandoning it is irrational. It is vital that you proceed with this plan. A part of Rena's great astral spirit already resides within her. 300 years ago, the Great Spirit descended upon Lenegis in an attempt to assume direct control of the spirit channeling ceremony. We have reason to believe the Great Spirit left part of itself behind, and that it now resides in the Maiden.
Which would make Alphen's earlier hypothesis correct.
That part inside the Maiden belongs to the core, and can be used by the great astral spirit to revive itself. So long as it remains, it will be all but impossible to fully eradicate the Great Spirit. That is why it is necessary for it to be vanquished only once it is whole. Without the Maiden's direct control over the Great Spirit, attacking it is futile, and will only serve to strengthen it.
No.
Wait. Naori said that the Renis Alma can suppress the self-realization of astral energy, and that the thorns could be neutralized by placing them in it. If so, can't the same also be done to the Great Spirit, seeing as the thorns are simply part of it?
Well, can it?
It is true that the Renis Alma is capable of what you suggest, and could contain the great astral spirit.
Yes!
However, doing so requires fine control on the level of the spirit channeling ceremony, considering that the Renis Alma was previously lost when that ceremony failed. I cannot allow it. Its uncertainty is simply too great.
What does that mean for us if you won't allow it?
Your starship will not be restored, and you will all be unable to leave here.
Why you?
Fine then. I'd rather stay here and rot than do it your way.
Alphen?
Whatever we do, if we mess up, Dana's screwed. The Great Spirit will destroy it. If you're fine letting that happen, and we have nothing to gain either way, then I'd rather do nothing. We want to stop Dana from getting destroyed. We want to save it. But not if it means having to sacrifice one of us in the process. If all you're gonna do is sit back and watch us where it's safe, then quit ordering us around and shut up!
Alphen.
What you say is irrational. Be that as it may, I shall accede to your demand.
You'll agree?
I am an observer. The Sovereign, Maiden, and Renis Alma are my species' greatest achievement. I wish to see how well they work against the Great Spirit in light of our demise by its hands.
But what are we supposed to do about the Renis Alma? One of your buddies ran off with it back on Lenegis.
It is likely that the Renis Alma is with the Great Spirit, functioning as a catalyst for it to receive Dana's astral energy.
So our only option to retrieve it is to head straight for the Great Spirit and take it back?
According to my observations, the astral energy is most densely concentrated in the center of Rena, where the Great Spirit's core is located.
So right in the middle of that giant flower, then.
I have one more question. You've said that Rena's great astral spirit is already integrated with the planet. What will happen to Rena once it vanishes?
Without the will of the Great Spirit, Rena is predicted to collapse. Even in such a scenario, the energy will disperse, and the Great Spirit will likely not reform.
So you're saying that even if we manage to beat the Great Spirit without destroying it, we'll still be in danger?
Likely, the collapse will occur in stages. It is recommended that you all escape before the final stage.
Man, I wish that thing would tell it to us straight for once.
Hevrek 35 and the others have gotten used to hypothesizing from afar is all. Fix our starship. We're going to Rena.
Excellent.
But I want to make one thing clear. We're doing this for ourselves, to protect what matters to us. We're not doing it for your sake, or because you told us to. Remember that.
It matters little to me. The end result shall be the same. Repair work on your starship has commenced. You'll have to wait until it's finished.
Man, is it too much to ask for Hevrek 35 to talk like a normal person? I swear I can feel my brain starting to fry after listening to all that complicated...
You still thinking about what the scientists told us? About where Renans really come from?
I am, but not for myself.
You're worried about the future of the Renan people.
The fact that our people have been the same this whole time will only give the Danans further reason to resent us.
But you still intend to confront this truth head-on, don't you?
Well, I did declare that I would live my life for the living, and not the dead. Even as I dream of retirement, I shall remain dedicated to the cause.
I'm sure you'll do great.
Now that I think about it, I don't believe I've ever heard you criticize or reproach us Renans even once.
I'm no saint. I have skeletons in my closet too. There was definitely a time when I hated Renans for who they were. I hated them just for being Renan. But you changed that, Dohalim. You gave me an opportunity to see them in a different light. Thanks to your reforms, we were able to stand next to Renans not as slaves, but as equals for the first time in our lives. Of course, I'm sure there were some Renans who still hated us on the inside. But we knew that not all of you were like that. There were those of you who were good, and that was a start. When it comes down to it, Renans are just people. They can be good or bad, just like Danans.
That is, in essence, the heart of your approach, isn't it? That we're all people.
Yeah, it is. When you can pull someone aside and talk to them one-on-one, then you have the chance to come to an understanding. But as soon as you stereotype, that chance goes away, and you stop thinking of them as people that you can relate to.
I understand what you're saying. But we're talking about massive numbers of Renans and Danans alike. Realistically speaking, surely they won't all be able to get along.
Even if we end up butting heads with one person, maybe we'll find better luck among their friends. If we can build a society that works like that, that'll be something worth nurturing and protecting.
So you wish for people to form real bonds and do away with the hierarchy outright? To deal with one another as humans, and nothing more. That's the ideal future you hope to see when this is all over?
Yes, I do. I think it would make for a fine tribute to my brother's legacy. Though, that said, I would be doing it for the people of the future first and foremost. Do you still plan to return to Lenegis when this is over?
Indeed I do. I don't know whether I'll be able to reside in Lenegis proper, however. My first order of business may be to find somewhere to live.
You'll always have a home in Menancia, you know.
As I shall ever keep in mind.
Well, if you ever need a helping hand, don't hesitate to come get me. I'll always be there for you, Doe.
Did you just... Never mind. Thank you, Kisara. I appreciate your patience as I work all this out.
Don't even mention it. And really, when you think about it, now that we know the two of us aren't so different after all, don't you think that brings down a barrier that used to be between us?
You know, I hadn't actually thought of it that way before. But I do like the sound of it.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Hey, why'd you call me here? Was there something you wanted to talk about?
Well, if everything we've heard about the Great Spirit is true, then we're getting close to our final battle. So I wanted to apologize while I can.
Apologize? For what?
I was being real stupid before, about whether Dana's will had been controlling us and all that. I get why you're angry now. Anybody would be if something they trusted was being questioned. So, I'm sorry, Rinwell. Really. I should have kept my mouth shut.
No, Law. Honestly, I think you might have been onto something. Of course you were worried. Who wouldn't be if they found out there might be some invisible force pulling our strings this whole time?
But you really trust Dana's will, don't you? Is it because you can sense it a lot more than the rest of us? Because you can understand it?
Yeah, I think that might be part of it. But I think I also want to believe it's good.
Believe?
Remember how I used to really resent coming from a family of mages?
Yeah, of course. Because you were always on the run and had to live in hiding.
When we rescued Zephyr and I finally decided to come along with you all, something changed inside me. It was the first time I felt like my powers had any meaning, even if that meaning was only helping you guys fight. Then, when I felt Dana's will, I was overwhelmed by how vast and warm it was. It made me want to believe my powers were made to connect with it. It made me believe I had a bigger purpose.
So that's why you hope it doesn't turn out to be bad. You almost need it to be kind.
Yeah.
Well, alright. Then I promise I'll lay off bad-mouthing it.
You will?
There's no way for me to know for sure one way or the other, right? But you trust it, Rinwell, and that's enough for me. So I'll trust it because you do.
Remember what I said about neither planet's great spirit reaching us here?
Yeah?
That's not quite true. I can feel just a little bit of Rena's inside you and everyone else.
You... what?
I sensed it when we first got here. It's a really small amount, so it doesn't feel like it has a will of its own. But I think that's how Dana's energy probably is too.
So you're saying there's a little bit of Dana's will inside each of us? In a way, doesn't that mean we're all Dana's will?
What?
Well, like you said, unless Dana's energy comes together, it has no will. So if we all have a little bit of Dana's astral energy inside us...
Yeah, maybe...
Hefric 35 might know the answer. But, you know what? I don't need to ask it. My will is my own. I fight for who I want to fight for. That's who I am now. Who I've become. So thanks, Rinwell, for sharing that with me. To be honest, the only reason I was suspicious of Dana's will, well, I mean, it mostly was... I feel like you and I had grown apart lately, And I was worried it was because...
Huh?
Never mind. Nothing. Just forget about it.
Huh? No, what were you saying?
Saying? I don't remember
Come
saying
on.
anything.
Now you won't tell me what you were thinking?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Then spit it out already.
You sure you don't want to get some rest?
I can't. I've got too much on my mind. Especially knowing how close our last battle is. How are you doing, Xion?
Same as you, still trying to absorb everything.
Remember when it was so simple? We were only fighting all the lords on Dana? All of that feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
Ages and ages ago. Everything that's happened since we first met. So many fights, so much chaos, so many wonderful people.
If I hadn't run into you that day, well, I wouldn't have met all of you. I never would have held the Blazing Sword or looked for something more. I wouldn't have my memories back. I'd still be a faceless slave, like as not long dead.
Hey, Alphen. I want you to promise me something.
Yeah?
If we can't find the Rena's Alma, there's something I want you to do. Like Hevrecht 35 said, the only way we can end the Great Spirit for good is to go after both the main body in Rena and the thorns in me. I need you to promise me, Alphen, that if for some reason we can't get the Rena's Alma back, you'll use the Blazing Sword to destroy the Great Spirit, and me along with it.
Huh?
It's true the Blazing Sword may not have the strength of the Rena's Alma. But it's taken us this far. It's slain lords and beasts. At the very least, it has to be worth a try.
You can't be serious. Have you forgotten everything
Listen,
that we've...
The Great Spirit isn't just our problem. It's a threat to our entire world. Renans and Danans alike. We don't know what's going to happen when we face it, but we need to be prepared for anything. We can't second-guess ourselves when the time comes. I promise you, I'm not planning on going anywhere. I'm prepared to fight with absolutely everything I've got. But if it comes down to it, I need you to be prepared too.
Okay. But you should know that I'm not going to give up on you, Xion. I'm going to fight this until the very end. I hope you can forgive me for that.
Alphen. Okay, I understand. And I'll forgive you.
Thank you, Xion.
So it's a promise then?
Yeah, it's a promise.
I remember how I felt the first time you touched me. My thorns made any contact a mistake no one would ever make twice. After they'd seen what could happen, fear would always linger behind their eyes. In my entire life, I never had someone willingly reach out to me. But when you reached out to me and gently took my hand, you didn't react at all. It was so easy for you. I don't have words for the shock I felt in that moment.
That's because I couldn't feel pain back then.
Even once you could, though, you still chose to keep reaching out to me. And when you did, I felt this warmth that I had never known before. But still, I hate having to see you suffer through it every time you do.
You won't have to worry about that for much longer.
You think so?
I do, because Shion,
No. You can tell me once my thorns are gone. Okay?
Yeah.